So my name is Tammy. I lead on the school's Africa initiative at Said Business School, but I also lead very closely and work very closely with the Africa Alliance. So the Oxford Africa Business Alliance is a joint partnership between our students, faculty, staff, and alumni, and we work collectively to drive the Africa agenda and initiative at the business school. So today is a really great opportunity for you to be able to hear from a number of our students from across the continent. They'll be able to share more on their admissions journey coming into the MBA, provide some advice, but also share more on their Oxford experience to date. I'm also joined today by my colleague, Stephanie. I'll let her introduce herself, but she is part of the admissions and recruitment team. So over to you, Steph.
Hey everyone, as Tammy said, my name is Steph. I'm an advisor in the recruitment and admissions team. We work regionally and Africa is part of my region. So for any application worries or questions, or if you need anything in the process of applying to the program, feel free to reach out to me and I'll always be available for you.
Great, thank you so much. And as I mentioned, part of the Africa Alliance, we have a very strong focus on supporting the next generation of African leaders looking to explore coming to Oxford to do their MBAs. So within the Africa Alliance committee, we have our outreach team. So I'm joined today by Lisa and Nene, who's the co-heads of our outreach team. And so their role is really to focus on how do they engage and support prospective candidates as well as admitted candidates as they go through their journey. So I'll let them each introduce themselves. So Lisa, perhaps you would like to go first.
Hi everyone. Like Tammy said, my name is Lisa Mogore and I'm from Kenya. My background is in engineering, manufacturing, and consulting, and that's prior to before the MBA. And I'm planning to get into strategy consulting after the MBA, and long-term get into energy and infrastructure development. I'm starting with Nena, co-heads of outreach. We're supporting African students who are hoping to get into the Oxford MBA. We're here to support you through the whole process, and even once you get your admission, we'll also be here to help you with the process. So welcome to the webinar, and we're looking forward to chatting with you.
Great. And then Nena, would you like to introduce yourself? And then I'll just do a summary before we start the panel.
Yeah, sure. Okay, like Tammy said, my name is Nena Anowai. I'm from Nigeria, like the flag shows. Before the MBA, I was in financial planning and analysis at an oil and gas company back in Nigeria. And after the MBA, I hope to do that, but I'm hoping to switch industry more to like impact-focused companies and all. Like I'm also a co-head of outreach with Lisa, and it's really our pleasure to be here with you. And we hope like you get a lot of insightful updates from this panel. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. And so I just wanted to sort of close off quickly on sort of what our Africa focus is before we actually start the student panel. So many years ago, actually, back in 2016, we had made a pledge to have at least 10% of our class coming from Africa. So you'll be able to see a broad range of the different students that will be joining us. But in our current class, we have over 11% of our class coming from the continent. We have 54% of our African students are women, and we have 10 different African nationalities represented within that. And it's very important for us to ensure that we create a number of opportunities, both for prospective candidates to increase accessibility, whether it's through scholarships, different recruitment engagement pieces, as my colleague said, Stephanie, that we support candidates through that admissions journey, whether it's profile reviews, exploring GMAT preparation tools, as well as then funding opportunities. But we also work very closely with our program team to curate Africa-focused content. So we run some Africa electives where you'll get the opportunity to do a deep dive into doing business in Africa. And then we also work very closely with a number of our corporate partners to create opportunities for those students that are either looking to return to Africa post-MBA or perhaps work internationally and work with a number of corporates that keep that Africa focus with you. So I'm going to hand over to the students now to actually start the panel. We'll make some time at the end to answer any questions that you may have. So if you have any questions whilst the session is going, please can you send through using the Q&A function. My colleagues, Stephanie and the rest of the admissions team will be answering those questions through there, but we'll also make some time at the end to take any questions that you would like to pose to the panel. So I'm going to hand over to Lisa and Nene now and enjoy the session. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Can the panelists please turn on their videos? So we'll start alphabetically, and we'll start with Ache.
Hello, good afternoon all. My name is Ache. I'm from Ghana and proud to joining the MBA. I was working with KPMG as a financial risk management consultant. Post MBA, I plan to continue in that space, but on the bigger market and help companies and financial institutions build resilience, either in a consulting capacity or a financial regulatory capacity.
Thanks, Ache. Bokle.
Everybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. So I'm Bokle Banya. I'm from Cameroon. I have a chemical engineering background and sustainability background. So before the MBA, I took a year off and I focused on doing management consulting. I did that at McKinsey. I also had opportunities to do sustainability at an insurance company. And last year I also did impact consulting, working for a sustainability consulting firm.
Thanks, Bokle. Echika.
Hi, everyone. My name is Echika Obijiako, and I'm from Nigeria. For the past 5 years, I've run 2 startups in the business process outsourcing space, really driving credit collections in Nigeria, and we've been able to get over 1.5 million people out of debt. And yeah, looking forward to meeting with most of you that would be able to get into the MBA.
Thank you. Khalid.
Hello, everyone. My name is Khalid and I come from Sudan. I come from a mechanical engineering background. I worked in the private sector for a few years and then I shifted towards entrepreneurship. I founded a startup more than 3 years ago. And I'm here doing the MBA to continue growing as an entrepreneur. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid. So, okay, Lisa already introduced herself. Opilo.
Hi everyone, I'm Opilo. I'm from Botswana. Before joining the MBA, I worked in a number of different nonprofit and higher education institutions. After the MBA, I'm really excited to go deeper into education technology. And yeah, looking forward to answering any questions and thoughts everyone has.
Thank you. Palisa.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Lafayani. Sorry. Mute that. Sorry about the feedback. I'm Melissa Lafayani. I'm from South Africa. Pre-MBA, I was working in the asset management space. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but moved into investments, so private equity, private credits. Post-MBA, I'm looking to expand into impact investing and specialize in that area.
Thank you, Wangari.
Hello, everybody. My name is Wangari. I'm from Kenya. Pre-MBA, I was working in investments with private credit and private equity, then moved to consulting. Post-MBA, I would like to pivot into strategy and operations, probably in the food and beverage industry, still exploring. But that's me.
Thank you. Yolanda.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Yolanda, and I am from South Africa. Prior to my MBA, I was in construction, and I worked as a real estate developer across various industries, with the largest property fund in South Africa. And post MBA, I'm hoping to still leverage my real estate skills, whether in consulting or finance. And I'm really excited to be here and answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thanks, Yolanda. Since you're the last person that speak, we'll start off with you with the questions. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what would you say a day in the life of an Oxford MBA is like?
That's a difficult question because I don't think like one day is the same. But I might just like try and give you what a week in the life of an Oxford MBA looks like. So typically we have like classes from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And depending on what your background is, we have optional support classes that run until 7 p.m. And a lot of the times there is like social events or that our classmates organize to network. And there's like debates that you can go to at the Oxford Union, which I have really enjoyed going to. So you like do support classes, either go networking or go for like a debate. And what's really fun about the debates is that we've got like global leaders. And for me personally, the global leaders are people that I'll never be able to meet in South Africa. For example, I've had like the opportunity to meet the president of Switzerland. We've met last week the CEO of Formula One. So there's literally like so many amazing people that are like world leaders that come here, and that's part of like the Oxford Week and Oxford experience.
Thank you very much. So Khalid, I'll ask you the same question.
All right, it's a great question because I think Oxford is all about Oxford experience. So my answer would be that living in Oxford is really like living like Oxford. Living in Oxford is very different. You get a vibe that you never find anywhere else. And I'm sure like the ones who are attending this webinar, they're considering some other MBA programs, but I can tell them my own opinion. Maybe my experience with Oxford MBA is that you don't only get to study an MBA, you live in Oxford, and this is a very unique experience. I think every day is different because you just walk around the streets, the buildings are very old. Even the people in Oxford are so special, even if they don't study MBA. So for me, I'm just going to cover the other part because Yolanda have covered the MBA experience. So I would cover the other side outside the business school. I think the Oxford life, seeing old buildings, church, old university colleges, and even the people are amazing. Like I don't think you can find great people as the ones you find in Oxford in any other place.
Thanks, Khalid. Okay, let's hear from one more person. Bokle.
I think something that makes the MBA at Oxford very unique is the fact that the business school is integrated into the University of Oxford. So, and you also have the college system, you have the business school, you have the University of Oxford. So that marriage, makes you to explore Oxford in different shapes and forms. So you can have the Oxford Union, you can experience business school events, you have your college events, you have a multitude of things that you find yourself engaged in. And if you're smarter yet, you want to explore sports, you have the opportunity to your colleges to actually do that. So you can see yourself being multifaceted and developing in multidimensional ways while you're here.
Thanks, Bokle. And thank you for mentioning the college. So my next question is, what is a college? Because like I'm sure there are people that are on the call and like, what's a college going? What exactly is that? So Opilo, what's a college and what would you say colleges are like? Just give the people on the call a little bit more insight about the whole college experience at Oxford.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Oxford, the internet says a lot of different things, like between 39 and 43 colleges. So let's say upwards of 40 different colleges across the university. And each student is placed into one college throughout your period. So as the program is 1 year, you're associated with that college for the year while you're here, but also you're an alumnus of that college going forward. Some colleges are undergrad only, and some are a combination of undergrad and postgraduate, and some are majority postgraduate. So this can be sort of your home in terms of your physical home where some folks have their accommodation, but it can also just be a base where you find community, where you can have meals, where you attend formal dinners. These are weekly or bi-weekly events in the college, but essentially you're placed into this sort of sorting hat of whether you want to use a Harry Potter analogy. It's probably too early for me to be doing that, but you're placed into these sort of colleges, I guess, these communities for the year. And so, yeah, there's a selection process that goes with it as well. My only piece of advice around this is that to do as much research as you can about the colleges, try to learn about, the background and history of them, but also what amenities each college provides, because there is a fair amount of variation. You ideally list your sort of top colleges, and you are matched based on the college's selection of your profile. So it isn't completely up to you. There is, again, like variation in the colleges, but also variation in the process of being selected for a college. But once you are admitted to a college, again, after being admitted to the MBA itself, you are in that college, and then you can benefit from the range of amenities there. So myself, I'm in St. Hugh's College. Feel free to look it up. It's the best college. I guess I'm supposed to say that. But no, all the colleges are the best colleges. But yeah, happy to kind of continue chatting about this, but I know we have lots to cover.
Okay, thank you, P. So let's hear from Atse. What's your college experience like, and what do you have to say about college in Oxford?
Okay, so the colleges are where being admitted to a college is what shows that you are a student of University of Oxford. So then we matriculated from our various colleges, not from the business school. And to add to the amenities and other things Opelo said, I'll say that the college is also responsible for your well-being. So I have been unwell for the past week, but then my college has been so supportive. And I think even the dean reached out to me to make sure that I was well since exam was coming up. And so the college is also an additional support system for while you are in school. So so that you are not left alone. So that's also a unique thing that Oxford brings to higher education. Yeah.
Thanks, Ache. So I'll just ask one more question before I hand over to Lisa. What would you say are the skills and qualities you develop whilst on the MBA? And I'll ask this question to Palisa.
Sure. So some of the skills and qualities you develop in the MBA, I think right now we're still quite early in the program. And so from a course perspective, we're focusing on our core courses and haven't really gotten into the electives. I think broadly at this stage, it's a sort of like a baseline, getting everyone on the same page and getting people, up to speed with fundamental skills. So we've been doing courses like organizational behavior, accounting, business finance, the likes. And the skills we've learned is a lot of like teamwork and collaboration, because there've been group assignments, opportunities to work with different people. I think that, with group assignments is presentation skills. Other skills would be really just digging deeper into spaces that you're not necessarily comfortable with. And that's always a great skill to have. So as I said, my background is in finance, but, thinking about broader things like marketing and organizational behavior has been really interesting, and just stretching things that I'm not used to engaging with is a really great skill and experience to pick up on. So I think those are the fundamental skills that we're working on now. And then as we move into our electives, that's obviously when you'll build a deeper skill set in whichever area you want to specialize in. So whether it's doing advanced finance or private equity modules, whether it's doing AI and machine learning courses, if that's your area of interest, there's really a broad range and sort of something that caters to everyone to sort of deepen the professional skills you're looking to get.
All right, thanks, Palisa. Wangari, let's hear what you think about this.
Sorry, you're on mute, Nena.
Oh, you can't hear me?
We can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I was going to ask the same question to Wangari.
Yes, I'm going to speak about the maybe extracurricular, not academic. I think Palisa has covered the academic pretty well. So for extracurricular, you have clubs and associations, and these are not just limited to the side business school. You can also belong to clubs in the larger Oxford school. There are, I think, hundreds, I'm correct in saying hundreds, societies and clubs at Oxford. So there's interest for kind of everything you would think of. And what this helps with is the social side of the person, I guess. There are very many leadership opportunities. For example, Nena and Lisa have this, co-chairship of outreach that's in the Business Alliance. There are other posts. There's also being a co-chair for a club where you organize events. You kind of convince students to have discussions around topics that you find interesting. For example, we have, I think today or maybe tomorrow, there's a Impact OBN kind of social. So the co-chairs of that club have organized an event where people interested in impact can come and speak to each other, can come and say what they want more of the club. So you, as the person in charge of that, you kind of get some leadership skills, some social skills that come out of that. And then aside from that, it's just, I guess, more self-awareness, because you come to a place where everyone is smart, everyone is driven, everyone is competitive, and so it kind of being in this having these extracurricular opportunities helps you to become more self-aware and therefore work on those social skills that you feel may be lacking.
Thanks, Wangari. So I'll just hand over to Lisa to ask the next couple of questions. And while Lisa is coming on, Kelvin just joined. So if you don't mind introducing yourself.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelvin Obasui. I'm with the MBA 2023-2024. I'm happy to be here to help out as much as I can. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you, Nena, and thank you everyone for joining us. I think everyone is probably wondering, that all sounds great, but how do you get to Oxford? So I will talk a little bit about admissions for the next few minutes. And I'll kick off with Echika and Khalid. What do you feel are some of the biggest challenges to Africans applying to Oxford?
Thank you, Lisa. Well, a couple of things, come to mind. What I find out is that a lot of people trying to apply to Oxford are already doing great things, but they don't know how to really craft their story, to be able to portray the great things that they do. And so I think it's very important that while applying, the application process is pretty easy. Where you're going to get a bit of a, should I say, bottleneck will be when you have to write out your essays, or if you're applying for scholarships, you have a limited number of words to be able to explain the amazing things you do. How do you do that? What I would always advise is, write out what you're doing and also seek help from maybe an alumni or a current student to look through your essays and, just help you with some pointers. It's important that if you have if you're writing an essay, you want to really throw out the facts there, your numbers, just your experience in such a short space. And at the end of the day, you find out that when people get the opportunity to read your essays, they're able to kind of picture who you are, high level, and, it gets them interested in you. There's also the GMAT and the GRE. You have to study for that, and, get yourself, good scores. But one thing I love about Oxford is that regardless of the GMAT and GREs, Oxford still looks at the work you have done or the potential you have to be a great addition to the class. So GMAT and GRE is great, but it doesn't mean that if you don't get a certain score, you don't have a chance. You want to be able to compensate for that with sharing, about your work. So don't apply in isolation. That's what I would say. And that's why a lot of us are here on this call. Don't apply in isolation. If you are stuck at any point in time, we've been introduced to Lisa and Nena, and, they have a reach to all the African students you can think about in the MBA. You would definitely find the best person that matches, you to be able to walk you through the admission process and just guide you through being able to get to that stage where you are good. And at every process, whoever you are matched to, feel free to reach out and ask, oh, I've been shortlisted for the interview. How do I prepare and everything? It's just really about being able to craft the amazing things you've done in such a very succinct, way that really brings out your story. So that's what I would say.
Khalid?
So for me, like just applying from Sudan itself was a challenge because some of my fellow students come from, like, if I just take South Africa and Nigeria, for example, even when they do the interview, they send someone from the school. But applying from a country which is considered a minority and it's not properly represented because of so many factors. So I would just like to shed my light on my experiences. We struggle with kind of equalize our experience and making sure that it kind of can fit with let's say being in Oxford. So maybe it can help the students who are applying from countries which are not properly represented within the cohort. So I think if you feel like you're doing something special, do not underestimate yourself, and just be clear, like, what do you want to do in the future, and have a very solid background and be on path. And the admission is very thoughtful, because even my application process, and thankfully Gisela is there, like she was there, and because when I did my application, I would just like to share my experience that I was expecting to receive the waiver for English language based on my studies, and then in my case it didn't apply to that. So I just explained the situation for Gisela, and she was very thoughtful, told me, like, if you can take an exam. So it didn't kind of disqualify me from the application. I didn't lose my chance, but they were so thoughtful. They gave me a chance to take an IELTS exam, and then I could submit the results later. So she could conditionally review my application until I submit my IELTS results. So I think also, like, one of the main things that made me choose Oxford as an MBA program is that they specifically reserve a place for African students, because it's very unfair to compare African students with some other people who come from other parts of the world. But comparing them together is very fair for me, I think, because Africa has a very different, let's say, system, and also everything is different. It's very unfair to compare it with people who come, let's say, from North America or from Europe. So I feel like the way that the MBA program is made is very encouraging for the African students to apply. And the other part, when you come to the school, like, the first few friends I made were Africans, because, like, I found plenty of them, and it made things very easy, because also part of your experience as a student, that you have to feel some sort of social stability, and also, let's say, you have to feel like you are at least stable at the place. So I think as African students, we started making some connections, and I still remember the first social gathering I went to was the African students. So I feel like it's a great experience, just if you are an African student, to consider, let's say, Oxford, even if you have chances, because it's a very different experience you find.
Thank you. And just to add to that, we recognize that there are some very unique challenges that Africans may be facing that may be different, and you've probably watched a few webinars and you haven't had your specific challenge addressed. And please feel free to reach out to me, Nena, and everyone else is on this panel. And we're happy to help you offline and see the kind of support you can give you that's specific to your challenge. So yes, I add all of these people on LinkedIn, and we can have some offline chats. I'll move to how do you make your application stand out? And we can hear some insights from Yolanda and Kevin. Kevin, do you want to go first?
So I'll go first. I think one of the most important things when it comes to your application is make it authentic. That's the first thing. As much as you want to sell yourself so much, make it authentic. I believe that each and every one of us has a unique story to tell. Right. For me, I had a unique story to tell about business and my personal life. Right. And it was almost unbelievable, but that was my story. Right. And even though you feel like, oh, you've had like normalcy going through like your life cycle, there is something different about you. Like you've heard, the good thing about Oxford is not just about you had a great GRE or GMAT score. They actually want to know you for who you are. Right. And one of the great things about we Africans is that we have a unique story. Right. I would say sit down, introspect into like your life journey. It doesn't always have to be where I work or my academics. It can be like your little life challenges, right? And write it out in your story, right? But I would say take your time and reason through it, because there are a lot of applicants that want to come to Oxford, but a unique story is always identifiable and can always be resonated with, right? That would be one of my greatest advice for you, right, when applying to come to Oxford.
Thank you, Kelvin. Yolanda?
I think it's going to mirror a bit more of what Calvin said about being authentic. Because I remember when I did my application and wrote my application, and also like I think it would be so valuable to speak to your friends and just to make sure that whatever stories that you are talking about actually resonate. Like your friend reads it, like that's definitely you, and like because that's how somebody else is going to read it. And for example, when I did my application and I wrote my stories, when I got into the interview, they try not catch you out, but like your story needs to mirror exact like the person that they see should be reflected in the essays as well. And don't try to like find stuff online, because when they say that they're trying to build diverse classrooms, they actually really mean that, because the classes are so diverse. So I think it's like taking a step back and remembering, or I think anyone that's here on the call is like amazing and done amazing things, and just remembering all your life stories and your journey inside and outside of work, and how you like impacted the world or people that are close to you and your workplace or your friends or your communities, and really just like look at those stories and write them and craft them and think about what you were thinking at that time, what made you make that decision and all of those things, and sort of like bring your authentic self in that. Because they really truly mean that when they say that they're trying to build diverse classrooms.
Yeah, and also just to add to what Yolanda and Kelvin have shared, just communicate your dreams, the things you're passionate about, show that passion in your application. There is no single Oxford story. All of us here have in your introductions you heard, each of us has a very different story, different backgrounds, and that's what that's what the school is looking for. The kind of benefit the school will get from having you in the classroom, and we all have something to share. So try and bring that out, and do not underestimate yourself. I feel like it's something that we struggle with, especially as Africans, imposter syndrome and feeling like you're not good enough. I hope you can see yourselves in all of these spaces, and that you will be proceeding to send your application. And now, moving to funding, I know, again, this is a very big issue for a lot of us. So I'd like to maybe hear from the panel how you went about funding your MBA, and if you could touch upon the different funding options that are available. We can hear from Wangari, Buclair, and Opelo. Can start with Opelo.
Sure. I think I want to preface by saying, like, compared to a lot of other business schools, something that really stood out to me when I was applying was just the sheer volume of scholarship and funding opportunity that was associated with Oxford relative to a lot of other MBA programs. So just as a starting point, that was a really good sign. As for me personally, I'm using a combination of different sources to fund my program and also the experience. So in terms of tuition itself, really lucky to have been granted one of the Said Business School Foundation's partial scholarships, which is really helping with offsetting the tuition. I'm from Botswana, where we do have a somewhat healthy range of like government-sponsored opportunities to pursue higher education. So part of my funding is also from my home country. So I think, that's another source that people can leverage. And then, in all honesty, a huge part of my experience is also just funded by like personal savings, which I only say that because there is a level of personal commitment, right, and investment that I've had to partake in to do this. So I you know, and that's an important distinction. For some, it's a significant amount is sort of that investment. For others, it's less so. But I will also say, outside of tuition, there's, you know, social life and other things that go on. So when preparing for and seeking funding, I think it's really helpful to understand not only the tuition itself, but the total cost of attendance, and have that number be a goalpost rather than just the tuition. But yeah, keen to hear from others.
I think, yeah, same story. And I like what Opelo said about thinking about your finances as everything, not just tuition, but also living expenses, also experiences you want to have. I think maybe in this call, maybe later, the things called treks, where it's like these trips that you go with your classmates, and some of them are even school-led, but you'd have to sort of cater for that, or part of that. So you need to think about that as your full experience, the cost for your full experience. And just like she said, yeah, so there are quite a number of scholarships from the Side Business School and the Oxford School at large. There are also other scholarships that are Oxford and other organizations, for example, the AFOX. And then you also have just scholarships from like home countries, from governments or other organizations from home countries. And then lastly, there's also loans. So there are organizations that provide student loans, like Prodigy Finance, like I forget the other name, Lendwise, the name I was looking for. Yeah, like Lendwise. So those are also avenues that you can apply for. You can get some funding and put it all together. But then there's also savings, as Opelo said. It's a big investment, and many times you find that we are taking, you know, large chunks, if not all, of our savings to be here and to just make sure that we have the best experience possible. And in addition to that, there's also, you know, friend and family gifts that you kind of get along the way. So that's also part of the monies that we put together just to make this experience happen. Yeah, so there are people who are lucky to just have kind of one ticket, one scholarship that pays everything, which is great. There are people like me and Opelo who kind of have to piece everything together, but either way, it ends up being an amazing experience.
Claire, do you have something to add?
No, I feel like Opelo and Hungary have said everything. So just, there's nothing else to add so that we can go through other questions. I can answer another question.
Okay. Then I'll stay on you. What makes it worth it? Because you're talking about people bringing their savings and looking for funding from, I think, this government. There is loans and your life savings. What makes it worth it? Why not do a local MBA? What would you say is the differentiator?
I think what makes it worth it, that just the different reasons to why it's worth it. I think you can talk about, yes, the Oxford run and all of that. That's one thing. But I think the second thing is the opportunity for people in different parts of their career. People want to switch to different countries, or people just want to have a different Western experience in terms of education and Western market before they move back to the continent. So I think you have to answer for yourself the why, and see how the business school, how Oxford and also the UK fit into your why. And I think that's what brings out an authentic story when you're actually writing your essay. Because if you can answer those things on those three different levels, on the business school, the Oxford experience, and also the UK, and also your journey at large, I think that makes it worth it. For me, I have a very different experience, and not everybody is going to be me. But I think my why was just to be, you know, being in the Oxford space and being able to interact with everything that Oxford has to offer. And, you know, also being a community, yeah, we have close to what I think the percentage for 11% of Africans. That's a very big, I hope that I'm giving to get the right number. I hope that's a very big support system. And that is also very important. The winters here are brutal. You know, you can struggle to figure out food for yourself or all of those things. If you have an environment, you know, with people who have shared values, who understand your culture, then you feel like you're at home, you can have gatherings, you can struggle together, you can succeed together, you know, and at the same time, it gives you the opportunity to get out of this imposter syndrome. And you can even connect with people, even in the cohort, and even participate in in the University of Oxford, environment. I think that even that makes it easier. You have to understand that the business school is a year, and most of the challenges that people face is adapting to the new environment. So when you have a community, it really accelerates that process for you to adapt. And also in terms of content, this is a very heavy, when it comes to social entrepreneurship, when it comes to understanding of the continent and actually supporting the Africa initiative, the business school is number one. And that is very, very important for you to keep at the back of your mind of being in a place where that understands you and that has the systems to make you actually thrive.
Thank you. Just to add to that, I'll mention that we have about 40 African students in the current cohort, and of the 40, 65% are on some kind of scholarships. And everyone else has shared, there is a combination. You'll need to do a lot of research, look at what's available, and at the same time, understand that not everything is available at this point during the application. As you progress to the next stages, you're going to, the school is going to share some of the other opportunities that are there. So at the moment, please do your research, apply for those that are available at this stage, and be on the lookout for those that will be communicated to for the people who will be proceeding to the next stage. I'll ask the next, maybe another 2 questions, and then I'll hand over to Nena to take questions from the audience. I think we've spoken about admissions, and we've spoken about the Oxford experience. So Yolanda, what have been your 2 favorite co-curriculars or modules? You can talk about one, and then I can have somebody else, Kevin, Ejika, talk about the same.
So I think my favorite co-curriculum so far has been the CDL, so the Constructive Destructive Lab, which is basically a place where entrepreneurs come in from all over the world and get mentored by researchers and business leaders here at Oxford, and the MBA students get to sit in on that. And so in August, we had the opportunity to sit in on the interviews, and there was one particular, or a couple of businesses that I had the pleasure of sitting in their interviews and seeing their journey for the past 3-4 months, and all of them are African businesses. And I think for me, it's my favorite because you get to see entrepreneurs build their business and something that they are really passionate about, and that's going to change something within whatever communities that they're coming from. So I think there was 2 particular businesses that I worked with, or that I've been observing, one from Nigeria, one from South Africa, and sort of taking a step back and as a consumer understanding wow, we actually really need that, and being part of this journey for the next year, and seeing how those entrepreneurs are going to build this business, and getting being there when the experts are teaching them how to, has been the highlight so far of my co-curriculums.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Kevin, please go ahead.
Ejika, take it. That's okay.
Why are you running away from me? So, yes, CDL is one of them, but I think I love Impact Lab more. I took CDL and I also took Impact Lab. I think Impact Lab, I've always told people it's one of my best decisions that I've made so far in coming to Oxford. Impact Lab is just it's a set of classes that you take, and we have a very small number that are selected from those that would apply. And what they try to teach you is how to create sustainable impact. So a lot of us are we think we're impact driven, we think we're impact focused, but you will get to hear from experts that have run this over the years, and it's so inspiring. You get to meet people who are really keen on solving serious world problems. And I think my highlight of it was we went on a retreat, and that retreat, I kept saying that retreat was very therapeutic, and it was, we get to, apart from learning, we also have storytelling sessions. We have organizers of TEDx London come to teach us about how to tell our stories, and everybody gets to the opportunity to tell a story, you know, to the class. It's very deep. And from people from previous cohorts, what I kept hearing was Impact Lab is a place where you make the closest of friends at Oxford. And to be honest, it's true. Khalid is in Impact Lab, stays with me. So, and we've had the best experience. So I tell you, if you get into the university, apply for the Impact Lab. And CDL, of course. I totally enjoyed CDL.
Khalid, I can see you nodding. Do you have something to add?
I don't know if I can add something, but I agree with Ichika that Impact Lab is the greatest thing I have signed up for. It's the greatest co-curricular program I could find in the Oxford MBA, because it kind of gives you a very different experience, which is the peer-to-peer learning. It's not only the learning that you get from the instructor, is that we learn from each other. And as also Echika mentioned, the retreat was very special, something very memorable, and storytelling. So we kind of share our unique experiences. And also the program is very selective. It's very hard to get into that program because they look for people who already have impact experience. So you guarantee a very high level of, let's say, learning and knowledge. And also like people kind of gather together, the ones who share the passion for making positive impact. And they kind of, I think all of us, like we came out of this program with a stronger will, because when you work on, let's say, any impact-oriented career, it's very hard sometimes to go against the system. So I think that was a safe space where you can just express your opinions and also hear from your peers. Sometimes you have different opinions where you cannot express outside. So it's a very amazing experience. I don't think I will find any other programs similar.
Now you've made me feel like I missed out. I think for the last one, what kind of resources do you get using when you use the careers team? And in extension, how do you feel the MBA is supporting your short-term and long-term career goals? And for this, I'd like to hear from Palesa and Achoy.
Sure. So the Career Center is very hands-on. I think initially when we first joined the MBA program, 2 weeks of orientation, we got a really nice introduction to them. It started off with just the basics, how to refine your CV and put forward something that's compelling and will make you stand out. You know, you can also have one-on-one sessions. I think a lot of the career coaches are sort of specialists in certain areas. And so depending on where you want to recruit post-MBA, you'll be matched up with someone that has expertise in what the recruitment cycle or process looks like in the area that you want to go to. And so it's quite nice to be able to engage with someone that knows what the process looks like, that can do interview dry runs with you, that can sort of map out what opportunities there are in the space that you're looking for. Because a lot of the time you have an idea of, oh, I want to be in this area, but maybe you don't know which companies are active in certain regions. I mean, coming from South Africa, I'm familiar with the landscape, but, you know, maybe it looks different in some aspects here in the UK, wherever you're targeting for. So just to have that guidance and that framing, someone to sort of take you on the journey and make you aware of, oh, here's an internship opportunity that I think matches your profile. Here's a company presentation. This would match what you want to do. It's really just someone that's, you know, here to hold your hand through the journey and there to address any questions that you might have, and just make sure that you're able to put your best foot forward post MBA to re-enter the world of work. So yeah, I think that's sort of what our career center does.
Achoy, do you have something to add?
Yeah, so beyond the document reviews that are the most basic aspects, the career coaches are sounding boards for even guidance on which career paths to choose, because some of us are either explorers or transitioners, and there's a lot going on and you can get lost in the mix. And so then the coaching sessions are very useful for picking their brains on which direction to go, giving your background as well as where you intend to go. And the Friday career sessions are also very useful. They do one thing that I attended that was useful was the the 2-hour job search. That was very useful. It summarized job search, which is a daunting, in quotes, activity into a 2. That was very helpful. And then there was another one on elevator pitch. So then there are various programs that the Career Center is trying to, or they put together to make sure that we are getting the best out of the education we are getting here at SIDE.
Thank you, Choi. And that brings us to the close of the panel session. I hope you found it insightful. Thank you to the panel for sharing your insights with everyone. And I'll hand over to Stephanie to take questions from the audience, and then Nena will close for us.
Sorry, I realized I was muted there. Thanks everyone for your insights. I think it's really useful to hear from students that are really living it rather than just from the admissions team. No one knows it like the people that are doing it every day. So thank you. We have a few questions in the Q&A box. A couple of them are similar, so I might roll them into one. A lot about the college experience. So if you guys could talk about how your college experience has been so far, and perhaps how you felt as an African student integrating into college in Oxford or in the UK, and how you would have managed any challenges if there was any. I don't mind who goes. Anyone who would like to start is more than welcome to.
Okay, so I'll just sort of give my opinion on this. So for the college experience, I think like every other person had mentioned, it's quite a different experience. It's a way for you to experience Oxford outside the business school. A couple of people in the business school are in the same college, but if I use myself an example, we're just 4 MBAs in the college. So for college events, you get to interact with people in different other departments, sciences, law, medicine, all other departments outside the MBA, and it sort of gives you a richer experience. You're able to, learn about other people's experience outside the MBA, which the MBA is great, but college is also your introduction or your way into experiencing Oxford as a whole. So the college is very supportive. I think Achi mentioned about the dean reaching out to her when she wasn't feeling too well. There's a lot of events in your college. Some people live in their colleges. I do, and it's a really amazing experience. And you could also join your college sporting activities, and there's so many activities with regards to college. And I think being part of a college also gives you an experience outside the business school, which makes the whole Oxford an enriching experience altogether. So I don't think that there is any college that is bad. Everybody says their college is the best. But ultimately, whatever college you get into, like Opilo said, do your research, figure out the things that are important to you. Different colleges are known for different things, and whichever college you select, hopefully they select you as well, and you would have a really amazing experience there.
Perfect, thank you for that. Next one I'd like to go through. Someone asked, what is the process for becoming a member of the Africa Business Alliance? Achika, could you answer this one? And if anyone else has any experience with that, you're more than welcome to pitch in also.
Okay. So by the time you get accepted into the MBA, at some point, just watch out for your mails. You would be alerted to, send in your application if you're interested to be a member of the Alliance. And in that application, you have the opportunity to select, because there are different roles. The Alliance has about 13 or so roles currently. So you would be able to apply, you'd be asked a couple of questions, put in your application, put your preference of the roles you want. And after the closing date, the panel in the school is going to look through the applications, and then the results will be announced. So it's as simple as that. But you need to also, it will be good for you to engage with the Oxford Africa Business Alliance website now to understand the different roles we have, what the Oxford Africa Initiative is about, just so that you kind of have a settled mind about the role you want to play. And each role is very important. I'm currently one of the co-chairs for the Oxford Africa Business Alliance for this set, myself and Kennedy from Kenya. And, we have some other officers of the Alliance even on this call. So there are different roles and every role is important. So look out for it, engage with the website ahead. When you get the email to apply to, to the Alliance, put in your application and, we wish you all the best.
Amazing. Thank you for that. So we only have a couple of minutes left. So I'm just going to tie 2 questions into one. So someone has just asked, what is your favorite thing so far? While someone else has also asked, what are some of the challenges that you found in and out of class? So if you guys want to say like a challenge that you found, how you've maybe overcome that, and also your favorite things so far, whether that's socially or with the program. Any volunteers to go first? Calvin?
All right, so I think one of the greatest things about the MBA you would get to realize is having to communicate with different people, right? I know that your community is a great advantage, but you're going to have to learn to step out of your community. You have to see the world through other people's eyes, right? The MBA is a place to learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? Hold on to your values, but be open-minded, listen to people, hear what they've experienced, learn from their experience, right? You might think your greatest knowledge might come from class, but might never be from class, might be another nationality teaching you what they know, right? I think that has been my greatest learning so far here. I'd also say my greatest challenges has also been people, right? Because you're also trying to not to step on people's foot, so you learn not to be so expressive. But I would say learn to be yourself and learn to be discreet at the same time, right? How have I been able to overcome some of my challenges, right? Relating with people. It has been as easy as being truthful with people as much as I can, and then being kind, right? It goes a long way not to be misinterpreted, right? When you're communicating with people. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share their favorite thing and something that they found as a challenge before we finish today?
I think what I just want to say, and I think is picking up from what Kelvin said, is one of the things you might struggle with really is actually understanding what your classmates are saying. Different accents, because people are coming from different places all over the world. But give it time. In a few weeks, you would start to understand them and they'll actually become like your very, closest friends. Also be very open-minded. We are coming from a continent that has a lot of rigid value systems. Hold on to your values, like Kelvin has said, but you want to also be able to experience the world through people's eyes. Be very open-minded, listen to people, learn to understand, people. It would change a lot of your perspective by the time you're here for a month and you find out that, you'll be amazed at what you will learn in a short time. So come very open-minded. Don't come with non-flexible, way of doing things. Be open to go and hang out with your friends that are from Asia. Be open to try new foods, be open to try new music. Just learn and make the most of your 1 year. So people are your greatest gifts. People are also your greatest bottlenecks here. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you. So thank you so much, everyone. Sorry if I didn't get to your question, but we have come to the end of the webinar now. I just wanted to thank everyone that's on our panel today. As was said earlier, if you want to connect with anyone on LinkedIn or if you need any specific admissions advice, feel free to email me or the specific Oxford MBA email, and we're more than happy to help. And if you need anything in regards to like the student experiences, there is also other webinars that are online that you can go back and watch, and there'll be more in the future as well. So keep an eye on our website, and yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye.